Welcome back on what is a historic day in Canada. I'm Adrian Harewood, tonight coming to you from Smiths Falls. We are in the headquarters of Canopy Growth Corporation. We're at its Tweed headquarters, and this is really quite a day for this company. Today, of course, is the first day that recreational marijuana has been made legal in this country. And this company is the biggest marijuana producer in the country and one of the biggest in the world. This facility is massive. Of course, it's the former Hershey's factory, and it currently has a growing capacity of 1.74 million square feet. It hopes eventually to expand to some 5.6 million square feet, which is really quite astonishing. And for a lot of, long-time marijuana activists, the idea of a facility like this is really mind-blowing. One of those activists is John Akpata. For years, John Akpata has been in the trenches. He ran in numerous federal elections as part of the Marijuana Party of Canada, a long-time activist. And earlier, I had a chance to speak with John Akpata about what this day of marijuana finally being legal, recreational marijuana being legal, what this day means to him. John Akpata, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
John, now that recreational marijuana, recreational cannabis is legal in Canada, as someone who for years was in the trenches trying to, struggling to legalize it, as the reggae singer Peter Tosh used to sing, did you ever think this day would come?
I did. I didn't think it would take this long. Back in 2003, when the Health Canada regulations fell apart, and people were under the impression that the marijuana laws had fallen, but actually they hadn't, and people were smoking openly, and people were growing on balconies, I thought, okay, this is going to take 2-3 years, and we're going to legalize, and we're going to have kind of like a Netherlands kind of model. But then in 2004, when the new government came in, it shifted back to prohibition, and I'm like, why is this happening? Like, we were so close.
So what does the legalization of recreational marijuana mean to you?
Well, it's a small victory. It's not the end. It's actually the beginning, because we know that reefer madness is false. We've got medical evidence and scientific data that we can say, okay, we were on the right side of history. We were not misinformed. Hopefully the medicinal system will move forward, so people that have multiple sclerosis, epilepsy, and cancer will have better access to their medicine, and they won't have to fight in court to get it. There's 130 or 129 licensed producers that are actually going to produce excellent cannabis oil, and they're doing research with CBD and THC in capsule and pill form so that people can have access to the medicine. And for the recreational side, it just means a bunch of people get to come out of their closet. There's no more stigma. They don't have to be embarrassed or ashamed, and hopefully less people will be persecuted by the legal system. But I said it's a small victory because as a member of the Marijuana Party, we are unified by the idea that cannabis should not be criminalized. Legalization means that there's stricter criminal penalties under legalization than there were before. So
more laws around the cannabis plant today than there were before legalization.
Yeah. So Bill C-45 regulates the commercial sector, the licensed producers, and Bill C-46 is the enforcement arm of that. So we have things like police are going to pull people over and demand saliva samples. If you refuse a saliva sample, they can arrest you and demand blood.
Give us a sense of what life was like for you, because you were someone, you were an activist, you were involved in, the business for a while. You had to make a lot of sacrifices. I would imagine it had an effect on your person, on your reputation. What was it like through those difficult years of trying to legalize this?
Gosh, I think I did okay. No one snitched on me. I didn't get roasted. Every encounter that I've ever had with the police, I was able to kind of talk my way out of it. But there was kind of a constant pressure hanging over me, because when I ran in those elections,
You ran 5 times.
I ran 5 times for the Marijuana Party. When I ran in those elections, journalists go through your life with a fine-tooth comb. You're being investigated by the police. You're being followed by police. My phone was tapped. I had some interesting encounters, but nothing bad ever happened to me. I was never harmed. But I was growing. I grew for 8 years at one of my apartments that I used to live in.
How do you feel today that a lot of the folks who are making lots and lots of money from cannabis were former police officers? Julian Fantino, the former chief of police in Toronto, Norman Inkster, the former head of the RCMP. You know, they were responsible for putting the likes of you into jail. How does it feel now that they are becoming, you know, large cannabis kingpins?
It's kind of hilarious. I think that's the only way that I can look at it. I have to look at it through a lens of comedy, and it's extremely hypocritical. But I mean, what are you going to do in order?
Does it make you angry? Because a lot of folks like you aren't necessarily making a lot of money now off of it.
Does it make me angry? Not really. I think it kind of proves our point that this is a hypocritical system. It's a two-tier system. I'm trying to focus on all the positive and just enjoy it a little bit. It is a small victory.
John Akpata, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
A very gracious John Akpata, a longtime marijuana activist. And Omar, it really is interesting. You know, just a couple of years ago, John Akpata was considered an outlier. People thought, well, some people described him as being nuts for being part of the marijuana party. Today, he's part of the mainstream. Omar, back to you.
Yeah, some really interesting points he brings up. Thanks for that, Adrian. That's our Adrian Harewood co-hosting our show tonight live from Smiths Falls at the Tweed Cannabis Factory.